Hi, I'm DKWILL, and this is DK. We'll talk about it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Well, a new lawsuit claims millions of Americans nationwide may have had their personal information compromised in a large-scale hack. The hacking group known as USDOD says it compromised nearly 3 billion records, including people's social security numbers. The group allegedly targeted the system of national public data back in April. The company is used by businesses and investigators to do background checks. It's currently unclear exactly how many people were affected. CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent is in Los Angeles for more on this. Jolene, it's not just social security numbers. What was taken?
Yeah, social security numbers, past and current addresses, names of siblings, all kinds of information was taken. The good news is finally this organization has acknowledged that this did happen, and they do plan, after this lawsuit was filed, to notify people who've been affected. But what you really want to do when it comes to protecting yourself in this situation is a lot of the things we've always talked about, but this is also coming recommended by the organization that was targeted. You want to freeze your credit first and foremost. I know it sounds like it could be complicated, but it's actually very simple. It's free. You want to do that with all 3 credit bureaus. And we're talking about 2.7 billion records that were accessed. It could very well have affected you. Chances are, yes, your social security number, your past addresses, your current addresses are probably already out there available on the dark web. But what you want to do is do that freezing at Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Do the credit security freeze as soon as you can.
Okay, I'm just writing this down because I need to make sure that I do this.
Let me recommend that maybe a freeze is too far, but it depends on how much you want to use your credit. But certainly a fraud alert where extra additional identity factors will be employed before your credit information is released. But certainly just don't sit still.
Is this something that everybody should do regardless of whether you think you may have been part of this hack? Would you know if your information was part of this hack?
Yeah, national public data says that they will inform those who've been affected, but that can take a long time. And so if you just want to take precautions, you can set up dark web monitoring on your accounts, on your information, but you can also just go ahead and preemptively freeze your credit if you haven't done so already. With so many hacks, a lot of people have already done this. Yeah. And then the way you can access your credit, of course, is to call and unfreeze it when you're trying to do a major transaction, whether you're trying to buy a new car with a car loan or purchase a home. Have your credit looked at when it comes to renting as well.
You mentioned all of our information is probably already on the dark web. Makes me feel just kind of vulnerable. I mean, how does something like this happen, a scale of this magnitude? And is that the right question we should be asking if something like this is so ubiquitous now?
Talking to so many cybersecurity experts, including Chris Krebs here at CBS News, the general consensus is assume your data is out there and act accordingly. And so what you want to do is maintain good password hygiene. You want to institute credit monitoring, freeze your credit, use 2-factor authentication, and just basically play defense for yourself, because basically it is very easy to access your information. And now, because so many different hacks have happened affecting hundreds of millions of people here in the US and around the world, it's actually pretty easy for bundlers essentially to take your information and continue to sell it or triangulate and target you in a more effective way. So you just want to make sure that you're taking all of these simple steps and refresh, maybe set a date in your calendar every 6 months or so to redo this and make sure that you're maintaining that good online security hygiene, because unfortunately the reality is your information is probably up there somewhere. I hate to tell you.
Makes me think of bundles in a whole new way. Nefarious bundles in this case. Jolene Kent, thank you.
Thanks.
I think it's safe to say we have your attention. Yes, pretty much everyone in the United States has their attention grabbed by this event, where Social Security numbers in a massive breach, almost everyone out there has been breached. And it's a hot topic in the news. It says here in this article, your Social Security number may have been stolen by hackers. How to freeze your credit. So not only is the information being shared, it's also giving you information on what to do about it. And notice what they're called. USDOD, a hacking group. Isn't the Department of Defense also called the DOD? Has allegedly stolen billions of records from millions of people, including their social security numbers. And now they tell you how to freeze your data. Bogey. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do something about it. Absolutely, do something about it. Something that I've already done about it last year before this happened. Put a fraud alert on your account, or you can freeze your credit as well. Just remember, you have to unfreeze it. Many of the credit agencies provide the option for you to lock and unlock your credit reports. You can do that too. But they're telling you what to do, and they put the scare in you, and I just want to say, bogey. I don't want to say bogey. I want to say this. Remember this phrase. Look over here. Don't look over there. Those who are familiar with it are familiar with it. Look over here. Don't look over there. And certainly everyone is looking over here at this national public data breach. So where might be over there? Well, to make my argument for a optional look over there, I'll take some excerpts from the history that we've learned about NESARA and CASARA and who's in charge and the information that's been given. Now, it's just going to be a quick brush over it because it doesn't take a whole lot of deductive reasoning powers to see where I'm coming from. But for instance, here on August 12th, it talked about the emergency broadcast system is on the horizon, that an August martial law is unleashed, I guess it's to say. It goes on to talk about there's chatter about the military potentially overseeing the nation until fresh elections are held, precisely 100 days post the CASARA announcement. Keep that in mind. Let's go look over here, where in this Judy note from the 11th, it says, a trusted military intelligence contact confirmed that the GCR liquidity release began at exactly 3 p.m. on Wednesday, 7th of August. And then it says, sources said the delays were from making sure the QFS system and all the test clients were done perfectly so they can see their funds in their account, but will not be able to use these funds until the shotgun has started. Are you beginning to make the connection that I'm saying from looking over there? Now, of course, I could keep going further back. I'm going to just go back a couple more times and show you that we've been given information that may help us to look at this mainstream media news that you know you cannot trust a little differently. Look behind the curtain. Look over there. Now, for instance, in this one from what is it, August 9th, okay, I want to bring your attention to just a couple things and just use your deductive reasoning powers. Here it talks about our trusted military intelligence contact confirmed, correct? About the liquidity and the release. Here our military intelligence contact, the trusted source, again, is speaking. What I'd like to continue to draw your attention to is right about here. It said mid-September is expected to be a period of substantial activity and significant financial movements are expected. Those who are aware and prepared will not be caught off by the big booms expected in the coming weeks. Now, as we can see, isn't this a bit of a big boom? Isn't this a bit of a big boom? Isn't this a bit of a big boom? Of course it is. let's take another look at something else. But first, a little pause. I'd like to turn your attention to a referral link that you'll find in the description below somewhere, or on the page description on my homepage, where you get a $50 off on the Decent biometric wallet. And if you have a whole lot of coins, you might be interested in the package discount for the Decent biometric wallet 2-pack, where you save $129 off on the regular price. That's one heck of a deal. I hope you take advantage of it. The savings may be a little different on those links now, but I still recommend you use them, especially now that security is on the brain. But that one more something else that I want to show you. I'll wrap this up. But you'll see here that America announces the arrival of F-22 aircraft to the region to confront the threats of Iran and its agents. Where did they arrive? Well, they arrived to Iraq in the Middle East, okay? But the key takeaway point that we want here, it says the U.S. Central Command announced on Thursday the arrival of F-22 aircraft to the region as part of the U.S. reinforcements to confront threats from Iran and its proxies. The U.S. Central Command, folks. Let's talk about the U.S. Central Command. Because if you were to look up the U.S. Central Command, you would know that U.S. CENTCOM or CENTCOM is one of the 11 unified combatant commands of the U.S. Department of Defense. I don't know what we're going to get, but let's click on the Department of Defense that was clearly involved in Operation Desert Storm, as well as the Iraq War, right? Let's take a look, because the U.S. Department of Defense is DOD. Yes, the U.S. Department of Defense is also referred to as DOD. So when we read news articles and we want things to make sense, and we see the leak started after a threat actor in April using the alias USDOD offered to sell it. Okay. And when we look at the other article, it says the breach allegedly occurred in April with a hacker group called USDOD infiltrating the unencrypted personal information of billions of individuals from a company called National Public Data, a background check company, according to the lawsuit. And when we read articles that say where USDOD claimed it had allegedly stolen the personal records of 2.9 billion people from the National Public Data, perhaps, just perhaps, it's a whisper to those who are not looking over here, but are looking over there. And this USDOD hacking group, including their social security numbers, could be exactly who they say they are. They could exactly be the USDOD, who is getting ready to put our information into the quantum financial system. Excuse me 1 minute. I don't know anybody by the name Potential or with the last name Spam. So, folks, yes, it's something to be concerned about. And yes, it happened. But the cabal side doesn't want us to know the truth, and they are still being allowed to control the mainstream media. And so they can tell you whatever you want to know. Excuse me. Whatever they want you to know, which is something the lady said in the video that I started this video with.
To notify people who've been affected, but what you really want to do, you want to freeze your credit first and foremost. But what you want to do is do that freezing at Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Do the credit security freeze. And so what you want to do is...
Yeah, they try real hard to tell you what you want to do. I just want you to consider another thought line and maybe look somewhere else besides what they're telling you to do and doing what they tell you to do, because, well, I'm a paradigm whisperer. And if you've been waiting for this new beginning in the activation of the Nisara and Gesara plan, then you probably would expect that in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, there's a ray of hope in the form of Gesara and Gesara. And so if there's going to be a dismantling of the ancient systems of finance, then something's going to happen so that that Starlink satellite can be hooked up and have everybody's data locked in and secure on the blockchain technology. I'm not saying that this is the case. I don't know it's the case, but what I do know is when everyone is looking over there, when everyone is looking over here, when everyone is looking over here, and when everyone is looking over here, I'm looking over there. And in looking over there, I sometimes think that maybe, just maybe, we all should be looking over there at DOD, who's in charge of what everyone's been waiting for. I'm DKWILL. This is DKWILL Talk About It. And I've talked about it. That DOD is hacking everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.